Yay, what a great start. Welcome everyone. I am Debbie Skirto and currently the Vice President of the Board. I'm here to welcome you and tell you, isn't it a beautiful day? Gorgeous sunshine, yay, finally. And I'm hoping that you are getting a chance to read your community connections each week. Thursdays they come out, and that basically gives you most of the things I will also highlight. So if you aren't getting that, please go up in the front and sign the visitor log and put your email real legibly so we can start sending those to you. Also, happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Dragon, which started, I believe, yesterday. And today we're celebrating Val Pals on the patio after service, which is always a lot of fun. And this Tuesday at 7, we go back to our regular Taco Tuesdays, which is a nice casual way to join up and look and see and talk to everybody. And it's just kind of a nice conversational time. There's a finance meeting on the 14th and personnel, I also believe, on the 14th. Next Wednesday, let's see, no, next Wednesday, no, next Sunday, we have Kusla coming, Kusla Bhikshu, which is our real good friend who is a Buddhist monk in Los Angeles, and he's always a wonderfully inspirational speaker, and he's just a lot of fun too. So try to come next week for sure, at least zoom in. Also, the weekend in June for Camp de Benneville is from June 7th to 9th, and you can start getting information about that. You'll see that we have some digging going on in the parking lot. We did have our the cruise company come out yesterday and start doing some testing and looking for why we're having a problem with the gas line to the school. So hopefully they find that soon. The roofers are coming tomorrow to seal up the new leaks that we have. It's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment here. And also the electrical work for the fire alarm starts soon at Montessori. So that's all good. The Share the Plate is for Calapayan Partnership today, and that supports our partnership in the Philippines. We also still have the blanket drive going on, and so if you do have blankets and warm jackets, that's always appreciated. Our restructuring team is busy working on all of the ideas and suggestions and all of that to make a proposal to present to you later on in the spring. So we're still staying busy, but we're not meeting weekly as we have every other week since we started. So we're going to work on the draft to propose in the later spring. And there is a link in the announcements that's in the community connections to look at a short video on sociocracy. Some of it's a little different, some of the terms are a little different than we've shown you, but it's the idea of how it works that you might want to look at. And we still need hospitality help, reader help, if you're so inclined. We'd love to have you. It doesn't have to be every single week, just helping out in the kitchen now and then, or greeting people as they come in. And also, and then we'd like to hear just for a moment from Lily. She has a special request from choir. Thank you.
Debbie told me that not just to her, but other people have mentioned that they might be interested to come and sing at our choir, but they feel insecure that maybe they don't know how to sing or they're not good at singing. So we welcome everyone and we will teach you. So if you would like to join us Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. right here.
And now I welcome to the pulpit our Reverend Maggie Burbank Yenoki.
Thanks, you guys. Can you just follow me around everywhere I go? That will make the world so much easier. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Should we take out the first 6 rows, or it seems like everyone's in the back? Oh, beautiful. We're starting.
I personally always like it when the choir's bigger.
We do. Yeah, and you guys sound so good in your rehearsal. Thank you. We open our service today with the ringing of the bowl. We ring it 3 times, honoring yesterday, celebrating today, and awaiting tomorrow. Before our opening song today, I just want to offer this introduction from a website that's run by a Unitarian Universalist minister. It's called Notes from the Far Fringe. Some of you are familiar with it. But she posts commentary on most of the songs that are in our hymnal. She talks about where they originated from and a little background on them. But these are her words. She says, I learned that Lift Every Voice and Sing was originally written as a poem by James Weldon Johnson and was later set to music by his brother, John Rosamond Johnson. It was first sung by a group of young black children as an honor to Booker T. Washington. Yeah. So as I think back to a lesson I learned in seminary, to not make a presumption of sameness, when this song, or a song from any other culture, resonates in my life as one of European culture, I have to stop and think. If we do incorporate that into our own culture, we run the risk of normalizing the events and experiences that are not shared, are not universal, and definitely not normal. So we shall resist the urge to use this song for any other purpose than to sing to obstruct racism and to celebrate the hopeful expression of resistance that's reflected by our African American members, friends, and colleagues. Lift Every Voice became popular almost immediately, and by 1919, the NAACP named it as the African American National Anthem. And our regard for its origin compels us to be respectful in using it in our service today. And I invite you to stand as you're comfortable, and we will join our voices together as we sing, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Sing,
Beautiful, thank you. Please be seated. Everyone but Charles. Charles, I'd love for you to come up and light our chalices for us, please. In honor of our Kalapayan partnership, our Share the Plate recipient for this month, we light our chalice with words from the Global Chalice Lighting that was written by Susan R. Quizell, and it was submitted by the UU Church of the Philippines. Like the burning flame that shines, like the passionate feeling of love that glows, we're together again to sing and to pray, to give and to receive the burning passion that we have celebrated and shared in our coming together as one. I invite you, if you would please stand again. We will sing our invocation, Spirit of Life. We'll sing it twice, first in English, then in Spanish, and it will be followed by a reading of our covenant together. On the screen. There they are. We affirm that love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to make choices for a healthier planet, and to live out our Unitarian, Universalist values every day as beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Thank you. Please be seated and you will enjoy the choir. Always make the best of things. I love that. It is time for our wisdom tale, and I'd like to invite Robert Tidwell up, our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, and that will be followed by our singing out of the children to their class.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Today's wisdom tale is called Martin's Big Words, and it's by Doreen Rappaport with illustrations by Brian Collier. So I'll have this on the RE table at the end if you want to look at the pictures. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw signs, white only. His mother said these signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, he felt bad, until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. Martin grew up, he became a minister like his father, and he used big words, and he used the big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no, and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest. It made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them, and he talked with them, and he sang with them, and prayed with them, until the white city leaders had to agree that they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them, and he talked with them, and he sang with them, and he prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop, but they kept on marching. Wait. For years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to, but reminded them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed, his brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, this moment will not be stopped, because God is with this movement. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protest, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South had to come down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about the people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and he talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot and died. His big words are alive for us all today. And thank you. And like I said, this will be on the table. The illustrations are beautiful, so please take a look. And now Jaryus can put the words to our song up on the screen. You guys can sing this out to our classes. And if the kids can come up and get the chalice. Sorry.
Have fun, everybody. As a spiritual community of compassion, generosity is always our first response. One way that we live that out is to share half of our offerings that are not designated to annual pledges with a local charity or organization that aligns with our mission and our ethic. For the month of February, our Share the Plate offerings will be shared with our Kalapayan Partnership fund. A purpose that cannot be more local and also more worldwide. Last week, we dedicated our whole Sunday service to the annual celebration of our relationship with our partners in the Calapayan congregation on the island of Negros in the Philippines. And while many of us here today were also a part of that worship service and heard the heartfelt pleas of Maribel Dana to be generous with our donations, I would also like to encourage a deeper generosity that springs from my passion to support the education of the Calapayan children after my visit there in July. There may be no other justice work, no other passion, no other fundraising effort that brings more benefit than your support from our compassion, from our generosity, for the education of these children of our faith that we are fortunate to partner with. So now, while we enjoy the offertory, I invite those of you in the sanctuary to please come forward with your generous offerings. It is with deep gratitude for the many, many gifts of this community that our offering will now be given and received. Thank you. Thanks, Lily, so much. When I came in today and saw the leaks in the yard all dug up and pipes sticking out everywhere, it was cold in here. Laura dried a couple of my tears, and the choir was just such a warm and cozy place to just collapse and say, you know what, enough already. But I knew I needed an attitude adjustment, and even me, yeah, we're tired, we're weary, but we're good because we got each other, and that is a beautiful thing. I don't know how people do it that don't have community, especially ones like this. And here is the time when we share those joys and those sorrows. And I also forgot to greet the folks that are joining us on Zoom, so excuse me for being late, but hi, we're glad you're here. I see we have 8 people connected to us on Zoom today. Welcome, welcome. And also I meant to explain that my red stole is so that I can cheer on both the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers. And I have a picture of Taylor Swift on the back, but I have a joy from Jimmy Grissom. Last week, at the day program that I'm going to since December, the director told me I'm going to be a secretary at the front desk answering questions and phone calls with special equipment. That is awesome. And that means a salary. It's a job. It's answered prayer. It's nothing he wanted more than to get a job and be able to. Jimmy, you're supposed to stop me from crying. I also have a beautiful joy from Jill Regel, who says she wrote Laura Davis, but actually her name is Laura Jowie now. Laura Jowie is a choir member, and Jill learned that they both graduated from Claremont High School and their families knew each other as children. That is so great. Thank you. Thanks, Jill, for sharing that. Those are both things to be very joyful about. Another joy is that we have our labyrinth here, and I don't want anyone to forget that we have it, and we're planning, we're going to plan to put a little ritual service together for the first time we use it. So anyone who would like to participate in planning that little ceremony, ritual, it'll be like a little bitty service of blessing on the labyrinth. We're going to start to plan that after the Val Pals event. We'll be in here working on the planning for that. So anyone who's interested, please come join us. Okay? And after we share these things, and we do, for those who are not familiar, we have these little yellow papers when you come in over on the side there by the name tags. You can fill one of these out and drop it in the basket, and I'll be sure to share it during the service. And sometimes I close this part with a little meditation, or sometimes I'll just pray, or sometimes I'll read someone else's prayer. But I found this most beautiful prayer that is a meditation from John Rodell that he wrote this week. I follow him on Facebook. Roedel is how he spells his name, and I highly suggest following him. He's a brilliant, brilliant poet. This week he wrote, "Lately, when I need to pray, I go to the church that has no doors or gates or vestibules. It's that church where ancient walls are carved in granite, and I sit under its moving roof on a pew that smells like damp, fresh pine. I fold my hands quietly until the divine joins me. And here, in this most ancient of churches, I watch as a dozen rainbow angels dressed as trout dance in that baptismal font and wonder out loud, when will I too be made anew? There's a special kind of holy quiet here that rings much louder than any church bell that I've ever known, and the silence often rattles my ribs. Its choir loft is high up in a bird's nest, and its confessional is a breeze that asks me to speak of the sins I see in me, and I do, and they're carried away. The longer I sing psalms in this church, the shorter my memory of all my past mistakes. And that is when I hear the voice of love speak. Oh, tired one. Oh, wounded heart. Oh, my child of crumbling grace, come and plant your feet in this Eden. Come rest in this sacred space, weary traveler. Oh, somber fire. Oh, shaking heart that is prone to fear, come lay in my ribboned water. Come to fully know that we are held together right here. O wilting flower, O dying star, O broken song that needs a name, come and sit among the wild, and neither of us will be the same. And God and I take turns saying all that we need to say to one another, and I speak in short, heavy, jagged breaths, and the divine replies in thin, long pauses. I'm always still there in the antiquated church of trees and valleys where foxes are lectors, where horizons are steeples, where clouds are vestibules, and where campfires are incense, where time is a gospel, and where the great flow is a sacrament, where forests are community, and a little piece of me still remains, talking to the voice of a whispering love. And I can't stop marveling at the altar of creation. That's a very good theology. Some of us hold very dear that nature is our church. Beautiful. Let's sing a gentle song while we remain seated. It's words by Theodore Parker. It's number 1058 in our Teal hymnal, Be Ours a Religion. Phoebe Mason, our wonderful visiting member slash friend, who is here from New Zealand going to school at Pomona College. She was all set to do my reading today, our reading today, sorry. And she came up with something in her throat. She's coughing and stayed home today. So good thoughts to you, Phoebe, if you are on the Zoom call as well. But we read Sacred Black Text by Dr. Takaya Nur Amin. She begins her writing with this quote from Reverend Bill Sinkford. I hope and I pray that our faith can someday fulfill the promise of its theology. She continues, when I used to work with Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, doing workshops or meeting people in UU congregations, inevitably, a very well-meaning white person would ask me, so who's the Black Emerson? Or who's the Black Thoreau? This question is wrong and it's icky for so many reasons. One of the tenets of white supremacy culture is the prioritization of the written word. And not understanding that, if you want to discover the evidence of Unitarian Universalism in the lives of Black folks, it is not always found in written essays. Because if we really look at our shared history, we've had different trajectories over the decades, different levels of care, different resources, different access to all that would enable us to create something like that. So if you're seeking sacred Black text in our tradition, you can examine our Black ancestors' lives. You have to seek out the Black folks who were in Unitarian Universalist congregations and the work that they were doing in the community, whether it was suffrage or trying to educate Black children, or they're working towards social action or civil access, because our text is often embodied. Our texts are often embodied and found in the lives of people like Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, Joseph Jordan, David Eaton, and countless others. One of the things I love about Unitarian Universalism is that our faith is covenantal and not confessional. That means that to some degree, our tradition cares very little about what you stand up for and say you believe. The evidence of your Unitarian Universalism is embodied in the depth of your relationships. So our faith asks, how do you live in relationship to self and others, and not just human others? How do you relate to plants and animals and stars? The proof is in the pudding for UUs. It's not about what you have to say, but it asks, how are you living? Part of the source material that Black UUs in particular draw on to understand how we're supposed to live within Unitarian Universalism today is the lived reality of the people who came before us and how they lived out their values. The histories of our Black ancestors and forebears inform, teach, guide, inspire, and orient us, if we let them, in how we can live out a faithful witness today. May we embrace our Black ancestors in this faith, learn from their legacies, and do all that we can to embody the best of what they've given us through their sacred example. Amen. Amen. Ase.
That was lovely.
Thank you. It is probably safe to say that most ministers have their ear to the ground most often these days. We're listening for any signs of troubles or oncoming hordes that might otherwise go undetected and catch us unaware. Some of the rumblings that we might be listening for could be recognizable immediately as fearful and troublesome, and we'd be doing all we could to be prepared with traditional methods of safeguarding or defense. We might engage all of our efforts to create a barrier against any form of invasion, maybe putting together a team of experts to keep us safe, cocooned away from what that ever-increasing whirlwind of change might be that threatens to bring something, anything that no one's ready for. Holding the fort, as they say, for haven't we all been exhausted by these tender times? Or Is there another way forward through the dark forest that we see we're in? Is there a way to strengthen our core and stand tall, come what may? Is there a mindset we might strive toward that will not only keep us well, but empower us to be the best version of ourselves? Move us closer to our embodiment as a lighthouse of ethical, Unitarian, Universalist, multiculturalism that dawns and draws near the broken in a world that is rue with separation and rejection. But how on earth might we best choose to step into these days as those who welcome the chance to turn today's challenges into the exact alchemy that will transform every ounce of woe into the lives that we dream of creating as a spiritual community? What might we do to bring that into our experience? Rather than just stumbling forward, rather than increasing the fear about what's coming, and rather than curling inward and holding on for dear life with white knuckles, and I hear you say, and make it doable, Reverend Maggie. But my vision opens first to Glinda, the good witch, telling us, just as she told Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, you've always had the power, my dear. You just needed to learn it for yourself. I don't believe we lack anything that we need. And I don't believe that our efforts fall short in any way. And I don't believe that there's a secret formula that's held out of reach. But yet, what I do believe is that we're on to something here. And we need to keep sharing it. And we need to keep walking toward what is true. And walking in love. And letting that journey through love be what defines our lives. And no, it is not an easy path at all, but it is the one that calls us. And it's far from the much easier path of following our cravings or the untold number of lures that distract us in the world. Walking in love is sometimes a very hard road. I'm remembering the climb up that mountain to reach that Kalapayan congregation. And there are people in this room that walked beside me and know what that was like. That's a hard road, and I walked it in love. And it's more often that love takes us off those well-worn pathways, the easier road of coasting through our days and seeking an easy life, as it calls us toward a deeper, often unlit, but more meaningful experience. It has been my message, and it is a guide to me in my nearly 25 years of ministry, that love is cheapened and made more raggedy by our visions of it as a steep incline towards some kind of an ecstatic, passionate way of relationship. But no, walking in love comes most alive for us when it's a chosen and determined path that opens the way of belonging to each and every one of us and offers the richest experience that life has to offer as the vast, often messy, always precious, sometimes demanding, ever-present reason that we live and that we form this community. Walking in love is a description of the way that we live out our best days, and it is as difficult to explain as it is simplistic. If each of us were to write down our definition of how we envision walking in love, we would have as many responses as we have people. And Sophie might also have something to say about what it means to her. But I don't think any two answers would be the same. And isn't that part of the magic? The complexity and the simplicity, the knowing and the curiosity, the yin and the yang. While in seminary, I took a course in Chinese philosophy, studying the teaching of Confucius. I struggled a bit in the course. It was created for PhD students. But I made my way into the heart of the professor with my curiosity and understanding that the anatomical human heart is the greatest teacher of Confucian thought as revealed in the teachings of the yin and yang. And I invite you to explore this with me today. Our physical hearts show us more about how the yin and yang define perfect balance and reveal the vastness of love and how to walk in it in deeper ways than we might imagine possible. It's no coincidence that our heart is the organ of love. It's a helpful metaphor and a gift, really, for helping us to find our footing when things go off kilter in our life. And we need an image to bring balance back to our thinking. Thump, 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 thump. We'll begin with a deep bow to those among us with medical training who might have a more accurate textbook description of the anatomical heartbeat. But let's start off with the first number, the systolic reading of our blood pressure. It measures the pressure when our heart pumps or contracts, pushing the blood out of the heart and filling the arteries. It's yang energy, an active, positive, pushing action. It represents light and fire, the sun, masculinity. It's the same energy that gives us the gumption to keep walking when we're tired. It's the same strength we muster to hold on in any challenge. And it sets ablaze that burning desire that motivates our efforts to achieve. And then in perfect balance is the diastolic reading, when the heart is at rest. The diastolic or dilated pressure is the perfect partner, the yin. Yin is passive, negative, receiving energy. It represents darkness, water, dilation, the moon, femininity, the ways we let go, the times that we open to new ideas, and the energies that we sense when we turn toward a new way of thinking. And both are essential. And together, and in perfect balance, we are taught the ways of the heart, the ways to bring balance, and the ways we can best be walking through these very difficult days as healthy, balanced, loving humans. So let's give our hearts a bit of gratitude for all they bring to us. You can put your hand on there and just say thank you. We've been carrying around these teachers since before we were born. It's the first organ that forms. And there's no better teacher for the deeper lesson on love, whether it's physically, anatomically, or spiritually. Our hearts teach us through their yin and their yang aspects, and any of us with blood pressure irregularities know how important it is to maintain the balance between them in our lives. So not only is the heart the rooting place for love, our hearts teach us how to love and how to walk in love with passion, with acceptance, and with balance. And as Valentine's Day arrives on Wednesday, we keep love in our focus, walking with it as our sacred companion. Blessed be. May it be so. And amen. And I know we can. So let's sing that. I know we can. If you would stand, please. Our ascending song is number 1015. And let's read together our unison benediction. We leave this gathered community, but not our connection to one another, or our sense of belonging here. In this hour together, we have inspired our hearts, grown in spirit, and deepened our commitment to care for each other and the world. So until we gather again, May we gratefully walk in love. Lily?